Aloha and welcome to a special Maui Invitational edition of On the Beat. I'm David Wilson, as always joined by Stephen Bailey and Trevor Haas. Syracuse on their way down to Lahaina, Hawaii for the Maui Invitational. They open up on Monday against Minnesota. It's their real chance again, their first real chance against some legitimate competition. Minnesota won a game in the NCAA tournament last year. They lose a lot. Got a very good backcourt though with the Hollins, Andre and Austin, not related. I think they give some Syracuse some problems in that backcourt area, but ultimately I think Syracuse, we see their interior play come up big against an inexperienced Minnesota front court.
I mean, you look at Syracuse through its first three games, especially St. Francis, and to me its two biggest problems are kind of self-inflicted. The defense of the interior big men. Coleman, he's running out, his feet are slow, he's just not in control on defense. Christmas isn't physical enough, and Keita fouled out in 12 minutes against St. Francis. So you want to see the defense of those guys improve, and then the free throws. The free throws have just been hard to watch. They bailed, Syracuse bailed itself out against St. Francis with free throws, but what I'm looking for in the Minnesota game and in the whole invitational as far as they go is to fix those two things that are really more on their end than what their opponents are doing.
I think coming into the season, the one person who wasn't a question mark was C.J. Fair. But Stephen dug up the stat last night that he has 3 times as many turnovers as anyone else on the team, which that's actually pretty alarming if you think about it. 18 turnovers through 4 games, that's pretty significant. So we're going to have to calm that down a little bit.
Yeah, he's in a role that he hasn't had a lot of experience in, I think, right now. And I think that will sort itself out as the season goes on. He's just naturally going to get more comfortable in that role. But right now, it definitely is a question mark, especially when you look at some of the other teams in this bracket. Gonzaga, who was a 1 seed in the tournament last year. Baylor. Won the NIT last year, and a good team, brought back a lot of pieces. Cal, who Syracuse actually played in the NCAA tournament last year. There are some good teams, a lot of variety in competition. Cal's got a good backcourt. Baylor's got a good front court. So we're going to be able to really see a lot of the different things that Syracuse maybe hasn't done so well so far this season. They're going to get tested in a whole range of areas depending on how the tournament unfolds.
And you're also going to see some teams play their games. When you see Colgate and Fordham come to the Carrier Dome, it's like, how can we beat Syracuse? Not how do we play best. Oh, we need to get open 3-pointers. That's the only way we can hang with them. Or, St. Francis figured out, hey, if we get the ball into the high post, we can get the ball to the rim. These teams are going to be playing their games. Syracuse is actually going to have to kind of study up on what other teams do well and maybe even adapt in the middle of a game. So it's a different approach, and I think we're going to see a lot of new things in these games.
It's a pretty exciting field, really. I mean, Gonzaga is a team that Syracuse rarely plays. They have a few times recently, but not too often. So that's exciting if they do get that far. And before that, Baylor, I'm excited to see Brady Hessel play. He's one of the best shooters in the country, so that should be fun. Yeah,
he's a guy who can bust his own. They've got some pretty good big men in Corey Jefferson and Isaiah Austin, another good shooter, 7-footer. So what's the biggest thing you guys want to see out of this tournament for Syracuse?
I guess I think just winning it. I think there are obviously a lot of things you fix, but this team's not going to be perfect. I feel like there's always going to be mistakes, but if you can win regardless against pretty good competition, not top-tier competition, but tournament teams, that says a lot for a team that's really still very, very early in its meshing process. I mean, Boeheim said last night on his weekly radio show that there's 8 to 10 teams that he feels are just way ahead of Syracuse. Like, they're not even comparable to them yet. So if they can just win games, to me that's what's going to impress me most.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there's any game where the offense scores above 75. I feel like that's kind of a bar for me personally. Yeah. I don't really see it happening because Minnesota's defense is pretty good and they struggled. They scored 58 against St. Francis, so I'm curious to see if that changes and if their offense is more adept going forward.
Yeah, I think you look at the way the Syracuse team is built this season. If they hit 70, their defense is good enough that they're going to win games. Right. But the question is whether they're going to be able to hit 70 as an offense. Yeah. So what do you guys think? You think they win this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, you can only look at Minnesota first. I think they beat Minnesota, and I think they're the favorite to win the tournament. I would have to see how they play in the first couple games.
Yeah, I think the first games are key. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost, but I will pick them to win. I think they'll take it.
Yeah, I think they could lose to Minnesota. They could win the whole thing. I guess Baylor gives them the toughest test of anyone. They're another ranked team, but I think they do end up winning this tournament.
This will tell us a lot about Syracuse.
Yeah, we will finally get to learn something, I think, about this
I'm
team.
interested to see the rotation, too. You didn't see any of the freshmen besides Ennis play against St. Francis. Are they going to play it all?
Yeah, I think it's a smaller rotation. I think they've kind of settled on their group.
I think so, too, but I mean, if Hakeem keeps playing the way he is, you might see Roberson get a little run.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again for joining us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @DOSports and check dailyorange.com/sports all weekend long and all through Thanksgiving break for coverage.